Hey, let me tell you about a man. Every morning, the same man comes to the same parking lot. A 2012 Toyota Corolla. Faded paint, a small dent on the rear bumper. His co-workers whisper among themselves, "Poor guy, he's probably living paycheck to paycheck." But there's something they don't know. The man has $5.3 million in index funds. His house is paid off. His children's college tuition is ready. He could retire tomorrow if he wanted. He drives the Corolla on purpose. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered how wealthy people drive? BMW, Mercedes, Porsche. A pretty reasonable guess. But completely wrong. The Millionaire Next Door research found this. The average price millionaires pay for a car is $31,367. Experience data is even more interesting. 61% of people earning more than $250,000 a year drive a Honda, Toyota, or Ford. So who's buying those luxury cars? 8% of people earning less than $100,000 a year. In other words, people buying $60,000 cars while making $50,000 a year. This group looks rich. The other group is actually genuinely rich. It is very rare for these two to be the same person. Now let's pause here, because most people completely miss this point. This video is not trying to tell you, be cheap, don't buy anything. The message here goes much deeper. Looking poor might be the smartest financial move you can make in life. I know it sounds strange, but listen. Thomas Stanley and William Danko studied millionaires across America for decades. What they found was the exact opposite of expectations. About 80% of millionaires built their wealth entirely from scratch, with no inheritance or luck. Half of them have lived in the same house for more than 20 years. And the researchers noticed, these people are concentrated not in luxury neighborhoods, but mostly in middle-class ones. Why? Because real wealth accumulators figured out the system in a very simple way. Every dollar you spend on appearances is a dollar that can't grow for 30 years. Of course, we have to look at the numbers. Are you buying a $40,000 car or a $90,000 one? If you put that $50,000 difference into investments and earned an average return of 7% per year, 25 years later, that difference turns into $270,000. That's it. That is the real price of looking rich. Dave Ramsey's research says the same thing. The most commonly driven car brands among millionaires, in order: first Toyota, second Honda, third Ford. BMW barely makes it to 6th place. And the ultra-luxurious Mercedes doesn't even make the list. Jeff Bezos drove a Honda Accord for years. Zuckerberg was spotted in an Acura TSX. Google co-founder Larry Page drove a Toyota Prius. Warren Buffett still lives in the house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. They're not making these choices because they can't afford better. They make them because they've decided that looking rich isn't worth the cost of actually being rich. So why do people do the opposite? Why do people buy more expensive cars while earning less? Sociologist Thorstein Veblen said it years ago. People often spend money not on the product itself, but on the message they send to others. A $50,000 watch tells the same time as a $50 one. The other $49,950 buys something else. It buys the message to others, I made it. The irony is, trying to look rich makes actually becoming rich nearly impossible. A leased BMW. Money that could go to investments every month. Likewise, an expensive designer bag? That means stocks not purchased. Every status symbol carries an opportunity cost measured in compound returns. But there's more. There's also a security risk to looking rich, and very few people think about this. Javelin research data. Identity theft affects 6.4% of the general population. But among people with assets over $1 million, that rate rises to 8.1%. A joint study by Experian and the Department of Justice says, wealthy Americans face a 43% higher risk of identity theft compared to the general population. On top of that, there are whale hunting attacks. These are not ordinary scams. They build detailed profiles from your social media and data breaches, then impersonate your banker, your lawyer, even a family member. In 2023, Americans lost $10.3 billion to fraud. Looking rich is essentially announcing exactly what you have. Looking ordinary protects it, like armor. There's also a social dimension to this. You drive a luxury car, everyone expects you to pay at the expensive restaurant. You wear designer clothes, your coworkers leave the bill for you. You live in a luxury neighborhood, everyone around you raises their spending standards, and that pulls your expectations up too. Research is very clear on this. Status is a relative concept. It exists in comparison to others. As inequality grows, the status competition intensifies. But this man, arriving in his old 2012 Toyota Corolla, is completely outside all of that. Nobody treats him differently. Nobody expects him to pay more. Nobody envies him. And because he looks ordinary, he builds real friendships with people who love him, not his money. There's a paradox frequently voiced by high-net-worth individuals. As power grows, trust shrinks. The question, does this person love me or my money, never leaves their mind. The quietly wealthy person never has to face that question. The authors of The Millionaire Next Door divided people into two groups. PAW, prodigious accumulator of wealth. UAW, under-accumulator of wealth. And they found, income doesn't matter. A cleaner earning $50,000 a year can be more financially prestigious than a doctor earning $700,000. What determines and reveals this is habits. The researchers call this the better theory. A better car than the neighbor, a better watch than the colleague, a better vacation than the sibling. Every purchase is made to send a message of superiority. These are called million-dollar choices. Because if those choices hadn't been made, that person would be a millionaire today. There's also the matter of cultural programming. We can't skip this. Stanley and Danko observed, from a young age, kids are programmed with this message. If you have money, you spend it. If you're not showing it, you don't have it. This message comes from everywhere. From television, social media, advertisements. And in the end, it works, because people spend their entire income on appearances. They reach 55 years old with a full wardrobe, but an empty retirement account. But culture is changing right now, interestingly. Bain & Company's 2024 luxury report says, affluent consumers are now moving away from conspicuous consumption and highlighting permanence and craftsmanship. Stealth wealth, quiet wealth, is becoming the new social currency. After the TV show Succession ended, searches for Loro Piana exploded worldwide. Because the appeal of that style wasn't the logo, it was the complete opposite. It's a kind of wealth that only those who truly understand can recognize. Let's move to the practical advantages. These are much more concrete. Negotiation. When the other side sits at the table without knowing your position, you are far more powerful. You walk into a car dealership in a Toyota, you get treated differently. A contractor prices based on the neighborhood they're called to. Buffett put it beautifully. Because nobody knew I was rich, I never worried about paying inflated prices. Invisibility is bargaining power. Work life. Co-workers who think you're struggling see you as an ally. A boss who thinks you need the job questions you less. The quietly wealthy employee acts as if they don't need the job, because they are strong, but appears as if they do. Family. The Millionaire Next Door research found, children who receive financial support from their families accumulate less wealth than those who don't. Because a child who knows there's a safety net never learns to stand on their own 2 feet. The child of a parent who looks rich waits for an inheritance. The child of a parent who looks ordinary goes to work. Finally, psychology. You buy a BMW. The first few weeks feel amazing. Then it becomes normal. Eventually you stop noticing it. This is called hedonic adaptation. Every pleasure eventually returns to its baseline. But a growing net worth works differently. That sense of security doesn't undergo adaptation. I can handle any emergency. I can walk away whenever I want. My future is secure. That feeling doesn't go away. Decisions are made with reason, not fear. Sleep is more peaceful, more restful. Let's finish with numbers. You earn $200,000 a year. If you save 25%, that's $50,000 a year. 25 years, 7% return. Result, $3.4 million. Same income, saving only 5% and spending the rest on appearances, $10,000 a year. Same time period, same return. Result, $680,000. Person 1 looks ordinary. Person 2 looks rich. Person 1 is genuinely wealthy. Person 2 is financially fragile. 25 years later, Person 1 has 5 times more wealth. But they're still in that parking lot, a 2012 model Toyota Corolla with faded paint. The co-workers are still whispering. And the man is still smiling, because the goal was never to impress them. The goal was always freedom. Wealth is not measured by what you show, but by what you have. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to share that valuable thought with us, leave it in the comments. I'm not going to say, subscribe. You've already joined us as a subscriber. Take care of yourself. See you in another finance video. Goodbye.